All right. Well, first, thank you so much, everyone, for having me. Like Nicole said in her fantastic introduction, my name is Adrian. I'm sure I've spoken to many of you from one large room or another. Today, I come to you from my actual desk here at Nureva because our demo rooms are currently occupied. So let's dive right into what Nureva thinks about communicating and collaborating in a connected world. I didn't want to go too heavy on product. I thought it might be fun to share some information with you about some of the challenges we're seeing as we enter this new world of basically permanent hybrid. Obviously, lots of things are still shaking out. Wanted to talk about the collaboration hierarchy of needs. What are the four things that we get asked about over and over and over again? Talk to you about a real world example, a customer that we worked with right through, and tell you a little bit about our product as we go. So let's go. So challenge number one. And this is a big one, right? As you work with your community of users, customers, guests, students, whatever kind of room you're trying to figure out, one of the biggest challenges is delivering an even remote and in-room experience. And really that's because everyone has different needs and wants, right? These meetings are important. We have to have them come through. But frankly, people in the space who are back in the space want to be able to meet without any limitations, right? They don't want to have to think, want to focus on what's happening in the space. And then we want to make sure that anyone who's not in the room can be an equal participant. And this is a challenging balance to strike, right? It can be extremely tough to make people who are remote feel like they're both an active part of the meeting, but also make sure that those in the room are leaving space and time and room to engage with, really at the end of the day, what is a screen on the wall. And that's a difficult thing to figure out. And one of the biggest things, and we hear this from customers all the time, is as people come back to the space, we've all forgotten that it's rude to interrupt each other over the last little while. We don't need to talk about why. um, but messy meetings are more common as we get used to coming back together, you know, five, six, eight, depending on where you are, people in the room, and one or two, three or four remote. Meetings have a tendency to get really, really messy. Everyone talking over each other because we're all excited to be together. We're all excited to be talking together. And even if you're a remote participant looking in, it can be a difficult thing to retain that excitement and not want to be an even part. So we've got to work hard to make sure we're delivering that even experience. And then I'm sure this is not news to anyone on here, but I felt it important to write. Rooms basically have to be ready to support a remote participant. Even as we all come back with hybrid here to stay, with new ways of working, new ways of connecting, we've got to make sure that no matter what, any space that is a room that is designed for meetings should be able to support an external remote participant. I'll just stop right here and say I can't actually see the Q&A. So Nicole, if you're looking and someone asks a question, I can definitely answer as we go. Just interrupt me. Challenge number two that we see is that flexible, functional, technology-enabled workspaces. And probably the biggest one there is flexible. As we saw, the ever-changing rules and guidelines over the last little bit made it really, really challenging for all of us to adapt. And the interesting thing is that it forced rooms to adapt, right? Furniture on wheels was already common, but think of all the different permutations and combinations of furniture setups and room alignments and meeting styles that you've had to figure out over the last little bit. And really it comes down to comfort, use case, those directives I mentioned. It's tough to have a fully flexible space that is also technology enabled and always ready to support an external participant. And even, you can see from the photos here, right? Just because a room has furniture on wheels doesn't mean it's easy to adapt that room to whatever happens to be going on in there, right? Think of a classroom or even your corporate training room. Oftentimes that meeting layout can change in the middle of a session. So, and that's an expectation now as everybody comes back and we get back into the office. It's a thing we have to be aware of, that there's a high likelihood a bunch of folks are going to want to sit in a bunch of fun ways that we're just going to have to adapt to. Challenge number three sounds obvious, and it probably is, but it's one that I have heard over and over and over again. It's that it's been a while since we were together, and we've all gotten real familiar to the interface we're using today, and the one on the left, right? Being able to use the systems we have in our hands while somehow connecting to what's already in the room, whether that's audio, video, collaboration tools. It's really, really important that systems are simple, right? We want people to come back together and be able to focus on the important work that needs to be done and not get tripped up by what's there. It's got to be delivered as simply as possible without any I'll say mental energy expended towards how do I make this work, right? We are endeavoring to make sure that everyone can get in and get started as quickly as possible so that we don't waste any time. And then our last challenge that we are seeing is larger rooms, right? Those same needs, those same challenges that we talked about for your medium and smaller rooms are almost magnified in those much larger spaces, right? We've got a couple of really important ones that we hear about. Often these rooms don't have a dedicated front. While there might be a podium, there is an equal chance that someone could be remote who is the effective leader of the session. If you need an example of that, there's a certain professor at the University of North Carolina who often teaches the course remotely, and will either stand at the front of the room or just be the head on the wall. So how do you adapt to a room that doesn't have a dedicated front? Architectural challenges, right? This was already happening before everything that happened to us over the last little bit, but designed ceilings that are specifically treating acoustics, glass walls. Those design trends aren't going to stop. Someone's going to come up with something newer, better, cooler, and we need to be able to adapt to those things and make sure that the technology that's out there, that's available to all of us, can actually handle those different changes that are entering the market that need to be figured out. Flexible furniture, mentioned this. In larger rooms, it tends to be an even bigger problem, not so much because the furniture moves differently, but because the use case of how that furniture is moved and how it's set up is very different, right? Instead of having a U-shaped table or a T-shaped table, you're looking in larger rooms at dealing with pods of people who need to be picked up either independently or all together. You're dealing with different camera angles. It's a challenging space, right? Big rooms can be used in a variety of different ways, and every day we talk to someone who's come up with a brand new way to use a large room. Divisible rooms also becoming increasingly popular. One of the things that specifically happened over the last little bit here is that we've worked with a lot of people who have divisible rooms that have been pretty much permanently divided and large. And now as we enter back into the office, they're looking at combining them, but still maintaining the ability to have them as either one large room or two different rooms. And setting all that up often takes some thought, especially for folks who haven't spent a lot of time doing that kind of planning and work before. And then finally, especially in these larger rooms, is background noise. HVAC systems, different fans, air conditioning. It doesn't really matter what the source of that persistent noise is, but one of the rules of thumb that we've kind of learned is bigger the room, louder the fans. It is often challenging to deal with that persistent background noise that drives people forward, that can get in the way of good audio pickup and be a distraction, right? That audio distraction can be just as distracting as a video that's fading in and out of focus. So those are the big challenges that we see so far that we've been talking about. I'll just pause and see if there are any questions at this point. Okay, I'll keep going. Collaboration hierarchy of needs. We're all coming back together. We all need to work together. But there's four main technologies that we here at Nureva have seen as sort of we'll call them the four most important to us as we talk to people. There are others that certainly fit in here, but these are the ones that we look at, right? At the top of that pyramid is video. This is important because as we come back together, we need that human connection, right? We want to be able to see each other, whether it's remote or not. That need for human connection is often driven by a visual connection, right? You all can see me. It's important. It matters. Humans want to talk together. It's why we're all so excited to get back together at trade shows and the like. Co-creation. How do we what tools are out there that are part of the stack that allow us not to come together and actually create content or create new ideas together, so that as things are coming together, as we come up with new ideas, we can create things simultaneously, whether in the room together or not, right? Think your virtual whiteboards and the like. Information sharing. If you don't need to co-create something, you absolutely will want to get together and certainly share some information. PowerPoint as an example. Whatever you need to do, communicating information visually is really, really important, and a foundational piece of the puzzle. But at the bottom of the triangle, and for those of you who know Nureva are probably not surprised by what's there, is audio, right? Audio connects all of these tissues together. They're all important, but without audio, you're left trying to communicate and co-create just by hand gestures or perhaps fancy held up paper drawings, right? The ability to hear and also communicate back is massively important to be able to get your ideas across, right? You can do all of this without the other. You can't really have an effective meeting without audio. So bringing it all together, what does that look like? So Nureva has worked with Athens State University for just over a year now, and they had a really challenging situation, right? The pandemic came at them. It was quite surprising to all of us, and they had to convert traditional classrooms to fully capable hybrid learning environments. And when I say traditional classrooms, they had rooms that did not have Wi-Fi coverage, cables in the wall. All they really had was power and a drop ceiling. It was a difficult scenario for them to really pull everything together. And their X factor made it even more difficult in that their students choose on the fly whether to attend a specific class in person or remotely based on their needs. They have a different learner community that needs that flexibility, and they do not have to declare one way or the other. So it's a truly flexible environment. And to support that, they needed to make sure that not just the student community, but the teachers and the team that supports the rooms could actually make it as easy as humanly possible, back to my initial point there. And they came up with a detailed testing criteria for each product in the room. So not limited to audio, although that's what I will focus on, but they did this for the displays, for the cameras. It's a very detailed process to build these rooms that support these students and the professors in as flexible a manner as possible, and actually included the 5 categories that they gave us, which were specific to audio. I don't have them for others, but I'm sure you can reach out and help them out. They'll tell you they love this story. And I'll walk through sort of what they learned when it came to the importance of each bullet point, right? So clarity was important because it needed to be intelligible, right? Because again, pandemic, distancing, different people in the room, intelligibility from every spot in the room was absolutely of paramount importance, right? Because they couldn't predict how many people would be in the room, A, or where they would be. Full room pickup was a key component of what they were trying to discover and deliver. Reduction of background noise was important. You'll notice in the picture here, they installed the Nureva unit directly below a projector, so you can imagine the background noise that comes from that. Our system cancels out noise. We'll talk about that in a second, and it handles that background noise automatically. So as they installed and tested different systems, that ended up being more important than they thought it would be. Compression artifacts. Do I get a natural audio sound, or is there a lot of processing happening in the background? This was most important to, obviously, those who are remote. Again, distracting audio, compression artifacts that make it hard to hear, make it harder to focus, right? If you're in class trying to pass a course or achieve that degree, you don't want to be spending time wondering, oh, what was said? How did that go? So it's a really important factor for them to understand and connect with their students. Ease of installation. Small school needed to be able to really get it in and get it done at scale so they could cover a fairly large number of rooms without having to spend weeks and weeks getting that done, right? Wasn't quick, right? It wasn't about the speed, it was about the repeatability, because they wanted to spend all of their time making sure that the process of evaluating the product was well done, and that B, the process of enabling the professors to use these rooms was also done without having to budget a bunch of time for additional installation time. So it was really, really a challenge for them to get that done. And then affordability, right? This is no surprise to anyone on this call. Affordability matters to absolutely everyone. If you want to read about this story or others, it is available on Nureva's website. I'll just pause there. Any questions? Should I click on that questions tab? I see we went from 11 to 12. Okay, counted to 7 again. We'll keep on going. A little bit about Nureva. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with us, we were founded in 2014 by two technology veterans, Nancy Knowlton and David Martin. They founded and ran Smart Technologies. We do have our own in-house research, design, and development teams. All of Nureva's products are designed and developed by Nureva in Canada and the US. We're private. We're currently at roughly 130 employees with a growing global channel. And we are a patent holding company. So our patents, you can look them up on our website. There are several different ones that are listed, and most of them deal with our microphone mist technology, which you may or may not be familiar with. Our product is broken into really three pieces. It's the microphone mist technology, the hardware itself, and then the Nureva console software that ties everything together. Our hardware is designed to be as simple as possible, so it's done by room size. When you're thinking of covering rooms, that's where we come in. We have the HDL 200 in our line, which is for your we call them small medium spaces. Think about rooms with whiteboards all around, or rooms where you're doing sticky note sessions on glass, up to a room of up to 18 feet by 18 feet. We have the HDL 300 for your rooms up to 25 feet by 25 feet, and then the dual HDL 300 for rooms of up to 30 feet by 50 feet. The product line is designed to be as simple as possible. So as you think about your rooms or your customer rooms, you look at the size of space and then see which product fits in. We also recently announced the Nureva XT classroom solutions. So several different options, but all of them include an HDL 300 or a dual HDL 300, an ePTZ camera, a powered USB 3.0 hub, a 30-foot extension cable, and Nureva Pro service for 2, 3, or 5 years. This is geared towards the classroom. So whether that's a higher education classroom, a K-12 classroom, or your corporate training room where you need to enable that front of room pickup with a camera, you can do that with the confidence of that powered USB hub and extension cable, so no one has to think about which additional accessories will work with the system. Everything comes together. Spread of MSRP there, and that's because there are various different solutions. We'd be happy to tell you more about this. You could book a demo off of our website, reach out to the team here at Lightworks. We'd be happy to tell you more about it. This was announced just last week, in fact, a week ago today. So more information will be available on our website about this next week, but wanted to give you all the preview here. Mentioned Nureva Pro. This is a combination of an advanced services program as well as improved services through Nureva Console. So you can see there, it's an extended warranty, 24/7 technical support. So if something goes wrong, doesn't matter where you are, what time it is, we'll give you a dedicated contact so you can get the help you need when you need it, as well as advanced replacement, right? No one wants to wait for a unit to be replaced within warranty. So we'll ship a new unit out without having to wait for the old one to get back. We'll diagnose that with your contact right over the phone, and all of that is included in Nureva Pro, as well as some exciting Console Pro features. So Nureva Console, for those of you who don't know, is Nureva's software platform that allows you to manage your devices both in room and remote by registering them to our cloud portal. And you can see here the improvements that we've added to Nureva Pro. So this is just what's going to be available in preview next month. It will be released. Nureva Console Pro features will be released as an open preview for anyone who wants to try it through October to the end of 2021, with general availability hitting in 2022. And you can see sort of the differences there. It really comes down to that ability to take a look at some advanced metrics in the data, so usage data for the room, acoustics insights, which we're working on right now, and we'll also get continual improvement, firmware deployment, things of that nature. It also will give you access to a new API. So sure, many of you are aware of Nureva's device management API. We will be launching a new one, which allows you to get room analytics. Details on that have not been released yet, but there will be more details to come on what that will look like. And again, if you have any questions, we'll be happy to take those. That is my last slide. Thank you so much. I definitely want to give some air to questions or answer the chat. So Nicole, are there any questions?
I do see a question here. What is the maximum amount of cameras that can be connected?
Great question. So at the moment, we are working to get one connected and recognized in our Nureva console platform. We do have several rooms where we use Zoom and Teams, where we have the XT camera connected as well as another vendor's camera, and we can flip between the two no problem. But within Nureva console to start, it will be one recognized camera, but that doesn't preclude you from using a different one. It's a good question.
Okay, great. Can you tell us about availability?
Yes. So Nureva has black HDL 300s in stock. White units are scheduled to be available in the next little bit here, as I'm sure everyone on this call appreciates. It's a little bit of a fluid situation in the supply chain right now, but we do have black units that can ship out the same day they are ordered, of the 200, the 300, and the dual 300. We have white HDL 200s available and expect 300 and dual 300s in white to be available again soon. I don't want to put a date on that because then someone's going to say, well, you said, and I see the little recording thing.
Can you remind the group how easy it is to get a demo of the HDL 300 and 200, like the live demos that you do?
Absolutely. So if you head to nureva.com, that's nureva.com, on the top right-hand side of the page is a button that says book a demo. And when you click that, what you'll be presented with is a page that shows you the 3 models, so you can choose which model you want to hear. Everybody wants to hear it live. And what that allows you to do is then pick a time you want to hear it, book it. All we ask for is your email, a little bit of information about the room, and we'll send you a meeting that has the link in it so that you can speak with a member of our team real time. So, the internet might go out, the computer might crash, which is what happened when I came to join from my desk. It's a real world experience over Zoom or Teams, or if you have another platform you'd like to try, we're open to that too, but Zoom or Teams are available on the website. It's 15 minutes, so it takes no time at all. And like I said, it's a live person on the other end.